Okay, so it is now day 158, and once again, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's happened again. I was asleep for 10 hours today. Literally, as soon as I came home, I went to sleep at about. I went to sleep at 7 o'clock this morning. Didn't get out of bed until 5 in the afternoon. It is currently 20 past 7 now, and in about 45 minutes, once again, I have to get myself ready for work. Here's the differences, however, because today, so far, and it really is a so far sort of case, so far, today has been slightly better than yesterday. Only by virtue of, because work is only 8 hours today, and I have managed to do just a little bit more than nothing there compared to yesterday. And yet, yeah, and yet, despite all of this, I just feel, as if you could probably tell, I am visibly running out of steam, and um, there's still 2 more days of. Let me explain to you exactly how things have been, just to give you guys a bit of an example. Because I actually don't ever have any sort of time off until Friday and Saturday. So the next day I have off will be Friday. But by that time, it would mean I've done a whole 16 days at work with 1 day off in the middle of it. And I don't really I don't really want to come across as whiny or anything like that. But that's not good. Even by my overworked standards, it's not good. The only saving grace in all of this, because if you think that sounds pretty nuts, then you probably wouldn't be wrong. But the saving grace in all of this is the fact that, one, all the shifts I've done for these 16 days, they've all been night shift work, and as a rule, I get paid a whole £1 extra from midnight up until when I finish work. So, taking things as they stand, let's see, 60. I'm owed probably at least something about maybe. I'm gonna have to think about this. 60, about 100 quid extra in for these hours. So that's basically almost doing an extra day's work for the difference that makes in terms of pay. Which you may be thinking to yourselves, therefore, based on those circumstances, I should be maybe a little bit more thankful, or maybe have a little bit less reason to complain. Well, you would think so, but then again, I am only human, and it's no surprise to anyone involved that even for doing this amount, I wouldn't mind having a little bit more time and space to breathe, as opposed to just being asleep. Asleep. You see, I've grown rather accustomed to the idea that being paid for work should be not even a prerequisite. That should be what is automatically promised. That should not even come into consideration. Laborers should be paid for their work. It's a tried and tested practice, and some people clearly have no idea of this at all. But the thing I want is a level of progression, and being stuck at work, I can't help but feel as if progression is sort of dead at the moment. And I also can't help but get the impression that progression outside of work, the things I do in my own time, is also dead. If for no other reason than, where am I meant to find the time to fit into all of this? I try and get something started, automatically I have to start getting myself ready for work. So yeah, it's it, it I if I honestly Yeah, if like I said at the beginning of this, if I look a little worn and a little bit like indignant to this whole affair, it's probably because I am. You know, and let me show you guys a little story for what it's worth before we end this. 5 years ago, when I was working full time, guess what? During the absolute peak of myself working throughout the pandemic, because I worked pretty much all the way throughout the pandemic. By the absolute height of the activity, which was round about 5 years ago, I was working 67 hours a week. So it would be, I would get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, do 2 paper rounds, and then go finish that, go to work, start work at about 9 o'clock in the morning, finish at 7 o'clock at night, get home just before 8 o'clock, have me dinner, spend the next 2 hours making videos, editing, whatever that might be, and I would usually get myself to bed at about just before 11 o'clock at night, and then 7 hours kip, and I would get up and do it all again the next morning. And by the way, this carried on, and the only day I technically had off was Sunday, following 2 paper rounds that morning. And by the way, the price of doing paper rounds every single day is that it meant I actually earned back what I was paying in national insurance on my job. And speaking of my actual 9 to 7 job I had this time, guess what? It paid really, really well. I'm not suggesting, you know, I wish the pandemic was on again, but can we please have the pandemic on again or something? Please, something like that. I don't know. It might. What I'm trying to get, by the way, is suggest is that even though having 1 day off a week is not particularly great compensation, it was always on a Sunday. So Sunday was something I always had to myself. I had a routine. It was organized. I knew what I was doing, when I was doing. I knew when to not do anything. And now, the state of affairs appears to be, I will get time off whenever I am told I am getting time off, which is it's not great. I'll admit. Personally, my idea is to actually have a 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. If for no other reason, then guess what? I want a little bit more structure back into my life. So probably I won't ever have to sleep for 10 hours a day again after this. I know, again, we can't always have what we want, but you know what? It's something to consider. Speaking of something worth considering, there is something else I did want to mention. The reason why I was at work for 10 hours last night is because for the first hour, because what some of you guys may like to know is that I'm on the charity team at work, and one of the things I'm responsible for doing is that I've got to try and raise $2,500 for charity by this time next year. The reality of that, however, is that I think I could do a little bit better than that. I said I would be extremely disappointed if I could raise £25,000 for charity, specifically the Carers Trust, which is a charity going towards unpaid care workers all across the UK from all ages who deal with people who desperately require extra attention. It's a rather noble cause because, again, this is could be people as young as 14 all the way up to being in the mid-70s, unpaid, and who attempt to actually help the vulnerable and the sick. So, as you can imagine, it would be of some interest to mine because I do know this charity really well, and that, well, 25 grand is actually I think the point really is that if we could get anywhere close to that, that would be a victory, because 25 grand is quite a steep incline, isn't it? Meantime, however, we'll just have to see how this plays up, because I already had something of a business plan made up in about 5 minutes of announcing about this goal. But that would have to come at just another time. Meantime, I'll see you all for you guys again next time. Thank you.